This is All Ears with JP Finlay.
What up, everybody? Welcome into All Ears. My name is JP Finlay, and it's a huge day for Commanders fans as the team has unveiled new uniforms. April 15th, everybody knew it was coming, and I think just about everybody is fired up with the results. You can see the two helmets in front of me. The team has gone back to a traditional burgundy. They've got that gold face mask back on there. How beautiful does that look right there? And the three stripes. Listen, a lot of people have a lot of opinions about the W, about the new logo. I think the W has never looked so good as it does on this helmet. And then obviously the new black helmet, the new black alternate with the introduction of the spear on there. I think there is a lot to like with this look. Take a look at the black helmet facing outwards with the tips of the spear showing. I really think the Commanders team did a great job with this, going back to the burgundy, back to the Super Bowl era white that we saw a few times last year. It's an exciting day for Commanders fans, and there you get to see the Hail Razor Blacks, as they're calling them. They did a really good job here. The old black alternate uniforms were just black and gold. It looked like a Steelers uniform. They reincorporated burgundy into the look. You see the consistency of the block numbers, the block lettering. I think they look sharp. Now, when I see those burgundies, I think back, especially seeing the number 26. I think of Adrian Peterson, Clinton Portis running the rock with the white pants. I love the attention to detail. I love the numbers on the shoulders. When you look at it with the gold face mask, it makes you think of Gary Clark or Stephen Davis or Ricky Irvins or John Riggins. And then, of course, we saw the return to the Super Bowl era whites last year. Now that will be the full-time white home uniform. It looks crisp. It is a throwback to how important the past is, but they did modernize these things. I got to catch up with Commanders team president Mark Clouse alongside Washington legend Brian Mitchell. Asked them about the new uniform look. What was the vision behind this?
Yeah, so I think if you've been watching the team since Josh purchased it, it's really been this very purposeful journey of bringing back elements of our heritage that we can celebrate and integrate as we continue forward on the Commanders journey. And this uniform launch today, has all of that wrapped up in it, from the Super Bowl era uniforms returning to our burgundy and gold, the consistency, all the way to the introduction of a spear, which you've seen us do. Obviously a magical icon from our past, but also one that we think lives very well in the Commander ethos that we've been building also.
For sure. B, what do you think of the spear?
Fire.
I love it.
I love it. I saw it. I lost it. I was like, okay, now I like that.
It's how you played the game. It's a perfect fit for you. It's
and show them that forward angle where both the spears come in. That is really cool.
Pretty fierce.
That is pretty fierce, Mark. And B. Mitch, yes, you are a hail raiser. I can say that with some level of certainty. I think it's really important to talk about the spear. You see it on the helmet here. We've seen the Commanders start to incorporate that on more promotional materials on their website, in kind of the crests and stuff. And I think it's important to point out a few things. They're obviously nodding back to the past. We remember Sonny Jurgensen, the famous old clips of Sonny wearing that helmet. And then Washington brought that back 2002, 2003. I remember LeVar Arrington wearing a different variation of that spear helmet. But it's important to note, at least for the cynics and the skeptics that I know exist, this is not Native American imagery. That's not what they're going for here. Mark Clouse talked about it in detail, that the team has taken this vision of the Commanders, and it's kind of throwing it back to the gladiator Roman emperor days and those types of spears. I think Game of Thrones 300, and I think they've done a really good job of conceptually creating something to establish this Commanders brand and identity that frankly kind of didn't have a brand or an identity. It was a name that the old owner pulled out of thin air, but the new ownership group, who has done nothing but deliver on their promises, including RFK Stadium, is trying to figure something out, and I think it works. I think eventually over time we can see that spear in more places, maybe on this helmet, maybe someday the W goes away. I don't know, but this was a huge win for Commanders fans, and the players like it too.
Y'all did y'all pick one with these bad boys.
No way. Dude, that's sick.
Go back to the old ways, huh?
When we wore these the white ones last year, I was like, I hope we got ticket for the Pride Man.
See, this color right here remind me of 2-1 Sean Taylor. The best.
Classic. Gotta love it. You know, you know.
Yeah, you could do a lot of swag with these, though. You got a lot of drip options coming with these.
I just did. Missed it so much.
So it's so cool to see the players' reactions here. And there's a few things specifically I want to point out. You heard newly signed cornerback Amik Robertson talk about, when I see this, I think of Sean Taylor. So for the players, you do have that historic nod back to the former great Washington players. You heard Javon Kinlaw, who lived in D.C. until he was kind of in middle school, maybe early high school, who grew up watching the Redskins. You see his visceral reaction to how much he loves seeing these uniforms again. And then to me, what stands out is Jeremy Reeves. Jeremy Reeves has been in Washington long enough that he played under all three team names. Jeremy Reeves wore that Redskins uniform and understands now, certainly the name is not coming back, but going back to that classic look, embracing the history. You see Revo right there, embracing the history while moving it forward. This is a really well done job by the Commanders front office, by the business office, by Mark Clouse and his team to what they continue to say. We want to appreciate our tradition while looking forward. And I think they pulled this off. That's a tough needle to thread, but I think they've done it. And by and large, social media is a place where people don't usually have positive reactions. And yet, here we are. 10 out of 10. No notes. That's from our guy, AD Legend. Amazing uniforms, amazing logo change. Hail to the Commanders. I'm telling you, I was on radio all day. This was by and large the reaction. The dark alternate uniform is different. Commanders are not playing. Look at tough. I can't even lie as a rival fan. I heard that from Eagles fans. I heard that from Giants fans. I heard that from Cowboys fans. Mario Davis says, I think they got it right. I appreciate all the work that went into this. I cannot tell you, I interact with this Commanders fan base on social media a lot. Very rare that they're all in unison. I did want to point this out. This is friend of the show, PFT commenter, Barstool Sports. He said, unless I'm missing something, not sure how many teams have 3 uniforms that don't say their team name on them a single time. Not a complaint. It is worth pointing out, all 3 of the jerseys, the burgundy, the white, and now the black hail-raising jerseys, none of them say Commanders on it. But if you go back to when the Redskins were winning Super Bowls, the jerseys then didn't say the team name either. They did incorporate a little later, probably into the 2000s, when they put a Redskins font underneath the NFL crest, kind of right on the breastplate, right at the collar of the jerseys. But when this team was winning Super Bowls, the team name wasn't on there either. So that isn't necessarily an indictment of the name Commanders, but it's just truly getting back to this Super Bowl era look and maybe getting back to Super Bowl era play. Now, that's not the only thing going on. It's certainly the biggest story in Washington this week, but the biggest story in the NFL next week, that's the NFL draft. And there continues to be so much speculation about how this draft's going to shake out and what Washington is going to do at number 7. And because of that, I find it really interesting what Adam Schefter is suggesting could be a possibility with a certain Notre Dame running back.
It's hard to imagine he's not going to be a top pick here. Maybe he goes 4 to Tennessee, 5 to the Giants. Feels like the floor is number 7 in the Washington Commanders. But everybody's been wondering all along where he goes. I do think Tennessee is in play. I do think the Giants could be in play, though I think they ultimately decide to go defense. Washington makes the most sense. Washington is sitting there waiting to see whether one of these other teams makes the plunge on a running back. If they don't, Washington's been looking to upgrade its backfield for quite some time. To have a player like Love on the board potentially at number 7 will be a lottery.
Listen, if Jeremiah Love is there at 7, he could absolutely make sense for the Washington Commanders. Now, if I was making the pick, and I'm certainly not, that's going to be Adam Peters, you got to include Jeremiah Love in what makes sense for Washington. I just have him a little lower on my list because the running back position, think about the level of production they were able to get last year for Bill Jacory-Krosky-Merritt. Bill was a 7th-round pick, and he was pretty darn good. Now at the 7th overall pick, you're going running back. I'm also not even entirely sure Jeremiah Love's going to be there. If he is, I won't be shocked if he's wearing burgundy and gold when we're in Pittsburgh in a week. Let's get to my number 3 pick, and I think this really could end up working out. If you look at the Commanders roster, I think you could say wide receiver and cornerback are the 2 positions that could really use an infusion of top draft talent. It's widely the consensus that Carnell Tate, the big, tall, tough receiver out of Ohio State, is the consensus number 1 receiver. If he's on the board at 7, I think that could make a ton of sense. Remember, when you're drafting, you're not just thinking about the upcoming season. You're thinking about a number of seasons to come. Terry McLaurin is obviously under contract this year. No questions about that. In 27, his cap number jumps. You wonder, you're you're counting on Luke McCaffrey to develop Jalen Lane. You like De'Ami Brown. You like what they've done, but still, don't you need another stud? And wouldn't another stud really help Terry McLaurin? Would that really help maybe Jaden Daniels? Let's keep going up here, and I'm going to confess, I'm not entirely convinced that either my number 2 or my number 1 favorite prospect for Washington is going to be on the board, but Sonny Styles, a do-it-all linebacker, a true do-it-all linebacker. Bobby Wagner 2 seasons ago was excellent for this football team. This past season, Bobby Wagner was pretty good, even if maybe there were coverage issues that came up consistently. Sonny Styles comes into the game with an absolute monster, freak athletic profile. If you look at Adam Peters' draft history, he loves athletic profiles. Sonny Styles checks every box. If he's there at 7, it might be really hard for this Washington Brain Trust to get past him. Now listen, my favorite player in this draft, I don't think he's going to be there at 7. But if David Bailey gets to number 7 for Washington, you draft him. You don't think about it. If Bailey's there and all these other guys are there, I'm still taking Bailey. I think Bailey comes into the NFL with the cleanest pass rushing skills. I think he's a double-digit sack guy for a decade, hard worker. David Bailey, for me, would be the best possible pick Washington can make. I just don't think he's going to be there. I think he goes top 5. Maybe he goes number 2 to the Jets. It's going to be interesting. I think the most interest is going to be on these 2 guys, skill position players that you could pair with Jaden Daniels. The one thing that makes it interesting, Carnell Tate, wide receivers are getting paid $40 million a year now. If you just think long term, how much it's going to cost to sign free agent wide receivers is prohibitively expensive, and the best players in the game never make it to free agency. The best wide receivers tend to stay with the team that drafted them, or they get traded. Running backs, it's just a different ballgame. But if you if you think Jeremiah Love makes this team significantly better right away and gives you that home run hitter ability, you take Love. Because if he's one of a kind at running back, you cannot replicate that value. It's going to be fun to watch. Next Thursday in Pittsburgh, we will be there.
This is All Ears with JP Finlay.
What up? We are back, and everybody's going draft crazy this time of year. There's so much excitement that builds up towards the NFL draft. I can't wait to get to Pittsburgh and finally find out who Washington's going to take. We've been having a lot of fun, though, running through various mock drafts from all over the NFL ecosystem, and let's get to it. Let's start with Peter Schrager, formerly of Good Morning Football, now at ESPN. What's interesting about Schrags is that he doesn't really get in the mock draft content game. He usually puts one mock draft out late in the process when he's done a ton of research. So what have we gotten used to, right? Mendoza's going 1. No surprise there. David Bailey, who I just mentioned, I'd love Washington to get at 7. They're not going to. He might go 2. He might go 4. Schrager has him going 2 to the New York Jets. Arvell Reese, another stud from Ohio State, going to the Cardinals. And then watch this. Jeremiah Love, who there's so much interest in for Washington, going 4 to the Tennessee Titans. I've seen that a ton. I think Tennessee has real interest in Jeremiah Love. The question, they just got a new coach in Robert Saleh, who's a defensive guy. That defense is a mess. Is he really going to take a running back at number 4? I find that question fascinating. Giants go tackle. Got to protect Jackson Dart. That adds up. Another tackle off the board from the Browns means Sonny Styles available to Washington with that 7th overall pick. Linebacker, you plug him in the middle. He could do a zillion different things. Durante Jones likes really versatile players. That would be Styles all day. There's been so much talk about Ruben Bain going 8 here to the Saints. Jordan Tyson, your first wide receiver off the board, Arizona State. A lot of people love the talent of Jordan Tyson. There's been questions about hamstring injuries. So we'll see how this works out. Mansour Delane, local kid, going 10 to the Bengals. So that's Peter Schrager's mock draft in the books. Commanders are making Sonny Styles their pick there. Now let's go to Field Yates, also of ESPN. Field is a heavy draft content guy throughout the year. He comes up with a number of mocks, but he is really locked in on this stuff. Again, Mendoza, no surprise. Again, Bailey number 2, Reese number 3. You start to wonder if there's some consensus about this being the way that's going. But look, Tennessee goes Sonny Styles. That, to me, makes a lot more sense. Robert Saleh, the new coach of the Titans, brings a stud linebacker to Nashville to anchor that Titans defense. Then you've got Caleb Downs, the safety, going to the Giants. Think back to all those great Ravens teams, Ed Reed, Kyle Hamilton, all the safeties they always had. Now John Harbaugh's running the Giants. I won't be shocked if that's the pick, if he decides he wants a safety. Carnell Tate goes 6 to the Browns. That's a pick that could make a lot of sense. The Browns could really use receiver help. That means, for the fans that are in love with Love, Jeremiah Love lands here in Washington with the 7th overall pick. The Notre Dame running back is an absolute stud. We had Louis Riddick on the radio show earlier this week compare him to Eric Dickerson. Jeremiah Love, according to Field Yates, coming to Washington. Now we get to Daniel Jeremiah, NFL Network, ESPN. Again, we're starting to see Mendoza 1, Bailey 2, consensus, right? Keep scrolling down. Titans take Arvell Reese out of Ohio State. The Giants here take Sonny Styles, 5th. Nothing that unusual so far. Then they've got the Jets taking, wait. The Jets at 7. That's not how this works. The Commanders are supposed to pick at 7. We got to trade, folks. Daniel Jeremiah is predicting that Washington trades back out of the 7th pick into the 16th pick with the New York Jets. This would be a big deal. Washington, keep in mind, doesn't have a 2nd-round pick, doesn't have a 4th-round pick. Those picks were traded away to get Laramie Tunsil, which Adam Peters has said repeatedly he would do again because Tunsil's that good. So let's take a look here. Schrager says Styles. Yates says Love. Daniel Jeremiah, one of the most plugged in and respected draft analysts in NFL media, has the Commanders trading out of the 7th overall pick, and then they get 16, 44, and 103. Now, I know a lot of fans would probably like to see Carnell Tate land in Washington. With that 16th pick, if this was to happen, Washington could target a receiver there. There's a lot of reasons to believe something like that could happen. Again, these are all hypothetical scenarios, but be prepared for the trade back. Adam Peters doesn't have much draft capital going into this draft. He's talked repeatedly about wanting to build through the draft. The trade could happen, folks. Mailbag is next. We are back, and it's mailbag time. You get to drive the show. Ask me anything you want. I will do my best at answering it. Let's see what we got, where we're going. I never know. It's usually a surprise. DC Ball Talk. What would be the most shocking move we make with the number 7 pick? I think we just showed it. If they trade out of that pick, knowing there's a blue chip player available, but they just want more shots, they want more draft capital, I think that would be the biggest surprise. Because outside of that, they're not going to take one of these tackles. They just drafted a tackle. They just committed a boatload of cash to Laramie Tunsil. The shocking thing for me would be trading back. I think it would be good. I'm not necessarily mad about it, but it's hard to believe that comes to fruition. We shall see. Good question right there. Where are we going next? I'm guessing it's a draft question. Eric, the opera ghost. I've never heard of an opera ghost. Maybe I don't know enough about the opera. Phantom of the Opera, sure. Oh, he's got the little mask and everything. This will be Adam Peters' 3rd draft. If you had to pick one player outside of Jaden, who do you expect will take the biggest leap of the players drafted the last couple years? I think there's an easy answer here, and it's Jordan McGee. I think Jordan McGee is going to get a lot more opportunity at the linebacker position. Durante Jones has talked about McGee in a big way. Now, that his rookie season, he dealt with a ton of injuries. Last year, when he was on the field, they gave Bobby Wagner most of the work. But when McGee was out there, he was really good. I think the answer to that is Jordan McGee. I also really like Trey Amos. I think he was their best corner last year before that leg injury. Hopefully you get a full, healthy season from Amos. Also, Bill. I mean, Bill as a 7th rounder has been pretty darn good. I could go a while on that one. Quinn S. Jordan. JP, I think on July 9th, the Commanders will reveal the 2026 throwback uniforms. I think this is the throwback uniform. Look at that. That's Champ Bailey wearing the old Spear helmet that I was talking about. It could be the one thing I think they will distance themselves, and I could be wrong on this. I don't know that they would want to include like the feather, the Native American imagery, but if they wore that, it'd be pretty darn cool. We do know, I believe the NFL is working on revealing a 4th jersey for all teams, a rivalry jersey. Maybe that's the fit. It's cool to see Champ Bailey in that look. I got to tell you that much. I don't know if it happens, but it'd be cool if it does. They could also unveil something completely out of the ordinary. Tay Wilson, my guy Tay. Appreciate you, Tay. JP, can you slide in some Mystics talk on the show? They are loaded. How about that? A Mystics question on All Ears a week before the NFL draft. Mystics just had a monster and a WNBA draft. They drafted Betts out of UCLA, the most outstanding player, 6'7". She's really talented with the basketball. I just love the way she plays defense, a truly elite rim protector. Listen, the Sticks haven't made the playoffs since 2023. They had 2 players on the all-rookie team last year. They have a really good young core. Maybe they're going back to the playoffs. Certainly we'll all be rooting for that. When we come back, we got the change-up and It is time for the change-up. Obviously, disappointing season for the Caps, not making it to the playoffs, but we saw Alex Ovechkin in what was the season finale for the Caps. Ovi's been clear that he's not sure what his future is. Here's what I know. I'll be clear about something. Alex Ovechkin is the greatest hockey player I've ever seen. He's the greatest athlete of my lifetime in Washington, D.C. He's now the NHL's all-time greatest goal scorer, and Alex Ovechkin should be afforded whatever time he needs to make his decision. Ovi, I hope you're back, but if you're not, thank you for everything. Seriously, on behalf of me and a whole bunch of other Caps fans. Alex Ovechkin, absolute legend. All right, what a day for the Commanders. I mean, you see the new uniforms get unveiled, the introduction of the spear. You wonder how long maybe that spear gets involved. Oh, Caroline's here. These are the new uniforms in all of their glory. We wanted to let Caroline show off just how fierce the look is wearing the burgundy uniforms. Scary Terry, you really seem to be enjoying yourself. You got to put the helmet on for us. It looks great. It looks great. I don't know why you were possibly hesitant on that. I think, listen, if you want to order the new gear, you better get on it because it's going to sell out fast. I really like they have a tan cap with the W logo with the arrow through it with a black brim. I think that looks pretty good. I don't know that you have a microphone, but what would you say? Thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. She loves it. It's a great day for Commanders fans. The uniforms are a 10 out of 10. Congrats to the organization. Thanks to everybody for watching. We'll be in Pittsburgh next week.